Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the No Credentials Podcast, where I'm your host, Joey. Nice to meet you. I'd like to first thank our sponsors, give a big shout out to Zevia, delicious. Delicious. And Dasani Purified Water. You know, actually not my go-to water, but official sponsor of the podcast, so I'm shouting you out. So thank you for that. Oh, here's actually a more go-to water. Sprout spring water. I don't know if you know, but spring water is superior to purified water. Purified water could be your fucking toilet water that has just been ran through a bunch of filters, and now you're drinking it. You're drinking someone's shit, basically. Someone's piss and shit. Spring water, on the other hand, is straight from a spring. So it's the superior water. So today is August, the 5th, I think. August 5th. Super excited. Today is ADCC Open in Arizona. That's why I'm wearing this fucking thing. I weighed in yesterday, 75 kilos, had to make 76. I actually had a half a kilo allowance. Came in a kilo under because I'm absolutely fucking disciplined, baby. And also I did hot yoga before, so I lost a little bit of weight just from sweating out, doing a hot flow. But I weighed in, and they give you this wristband, and apparently you can't fucking just keep it and put it on the next day. You got to put it on right then and then just sleep with it, wear it a whole 24 hours. So I'm pissed. But anyways, I'm excited about today. I have about 15 minutes, I think, because I just realized that the kit that I was going to wear today to compete, I hadn't washed, or it got fucking put away in this little, whatever you want to call it, grocery bag. That's what those are called. I get put away in a grocery bag, and get the fuck out of here, kitty. Sorry, that's my little kitty. That's my little kitty playing with the cords. Not anymore, though. Sorry, I forgot what I was saying. Something about weighing in. I'm waiting. I'm on point. Oh, I got to wash my shit. So I got 15 minutes on a quick wash before I go. Right now it's about 1 o'clock. I'm getting text saying that I should come early. They said they're starting early. Huh, okay. Everyone's went a little bit early today. That's actually good. Usually everyone's really late. So my division, or not even the division, just the adult expert, is supposed to start at 4 p.m., but I just got a text saying that someone went 2 hours early. Not an adult expert, but someone else went 2 hours early. That's actually, sort of good. You want to, at most tournaments are ran where it's fucking hours behind, and, you're supposed to go at 4, you end up going at 6:30. Really annoying. It makes it very difficult to plan your warm-up because you want to get your warm-up in, a good 20 minutes or so before your first match. And if you're doing it long before, that's fucking annoying. If you're doing it, if you don't know exactly when you're going to go, maybe you don't even get the chance to get your good warm-up. So all very annoying. But this is good. Maybe they're early today. Right now it's about 10 to 1. Let me see. Yeah, probably just maybe get there around 2. That sounds good. Yeah. So anyways, thank you guys. If you're watching this now, who knows if I'll actually post these solo pods, but I did one a few days ago, and it was kind of fun, so I figured why not? Just start doing a little bit of solo podding, right? Just get some content out there, and it also helped me practice some editing, make sure, which it should be easy, to actually edit it with just one camera and one audio, or in theory that would be the case, but I fucking downloaded Audacity the other day and tried to edit my pod from the other day, and it was like, what the fuck? It needs, I don't know, there's a bunch of things, but it's all a learning process. I'll get better as I do it. So I'm excited with my setup. No fucking bite, Gigi. Sorry, her name is Gigi. Gigi, get over here. I was gonna show you to her, but now she's gone because she was biting me. She's a little kitten. She likes to bite. She knows she shouldn't, but she does it anyways. But that's okay. She'll learn. She's just a little kitty. Yeah, but so I recorded a solo pod a couple days ago. It was pretty fun. I just chopped it up here on my own, all by myself. And now I might just start doing that. Who knows? Maybe I'll post that if I could get something to like read, like some sort of people's personal advice if they want to submit it anonymously. Maybe I'll like create an anonymous or an email that you can submit stories or questions anonymously. I'll give a little bit of advice, like a little bit of a Bill Burr Monday morning, Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday podcast, whatever the fuck it's called. It's pretty good. If you listen to Burr, he's a great solo podcaster, which I think is one of the more difficult things to do because you're just fucking talking. That's it. You don't have anything to bounce anything off of. That's why I think a lot of these guys look for, like, I like Tim Dillon a lot too. He's a fucking real funny guy. And often he'll read sort of news, what's going on in the news, what's going on in the world, which, excuse me. Which that's cool. You know, one thing about, you know, if when a tournament says a specific time, it would just be great if they just fucking abided by that time. I understand with 1,300 competitors, that probably makes it very, very difficult because if you have mats scheduled for 6 minutes and there's a 30-second submission, this guy didn't show up for this reason, this guy's injured. Oh, that felt good. I understand it's difficult, and so excuse my maybe indigestion or whatever this is. I tried to plan my meal so I'd have about 5 hours before even the potentially soonest match, but maybe I'm gonna have one before that, so that's a little bit annoying. So I'm trying to drink a little bit of a bubbly drink, which helps me digest. And also, too, it's an official sponsor of the podcast. Thank you very much, Zevia. I do love Zevias. You know, I'll fucking drink all water. I do like water as well. But if I have the choice, I will choose a spring water over a purified water. A little bit more expensive, but it is superior water, I believe. Zevias are also delicious. Grape, delicious. The best flavor, though, is cream soda. Absolutely amazing. So, I'm excited. I just came up here to kill a little bit of time before I got to leave to go compete today. I'm super excited. I try my best to have every competition just feel like a normal day training. I go in, it's just, I roll with plenty of people for the first time. I'll go to a lot of open mats. So on a fairly regular basis, probably at least weekly, I'll roll with someone for the very first time. It's us rolling for the very first time. And there's really not a huge difference between a competition and like a first time roll with someone you don't know. The primary difference is, it's more important, the results of the match. And with this, it actually allows a little bit of freedom. This meaning the ADCC rule set, because the first half of it is sub only. So no points awarded for the first half of the match. So I believe in my bracket, it's 6 minutes matches. So 3 minutes, no points, and then 3 minutes points. So for that first 3 minutes, people are allowed a little bit more freedom just by virtue of the rule set. You're allowed a little bit of more freedom to fucking send it, shoot that takedown, pull guard, go for this rolling sub, go for whatever, because it doesn't matter if you end up in a bottom position, you're not going to be scored negatively for it. So that's why, I've talked about this before and I'll probably talk about it more, but that's why I believe the sub-only rule set is the superior rule set for any jiu-jitsu competition, because it allows more freedom for the jiu-jitsu. And I was talking about it with a friend the other day. It's interesting because the attempt at scoring any sort of martial art, anytime you put like specific rule sets on it, in theory, it makes a lot of sense because yes, like if you take someone down, that's a good thing. In theory, maybe you should be awarded for that, for just taking someone down. If you pass their guard, that's a goal within jiu-jitsu. Maybe you should be awarded for that. And if you mount someone, if you take their back, all these scoring positions, it makes sense why they're scored. But the actual implementation of them always perverts the martial art. It's just like in Taekwondo. These guys are standing with their hands completely down, like this because they can't get punched in the face. So what I mean, yes, it's I'm not very as familiar with Taekwondo, and so maybe I can't speak as educated on it. I'm non-credentialed, but what it does is like it makes a fight that's not really a fight. It makes an expression of in that case Taekwondo that's not a true expression maybe of Taekwondo. If they were, in the street, are these guys going to punch each other in the face? I mean, if the opportunity presents itself, probably, but because of the way the rule set is structured, it ends up perverting the martial art. So same thing with jiu-jitsu. Because of the way the rule sets are structured, a point rule set, all it does is it makes athletes extremely hesitant to pull the trigger. They're very adverse to any sort of to fucking taking any sort of risk. You have to be risk adverse in a points rule set, because if you take a risk and end up on bottom, then you risk the chance of, a sweep or being scored negatively. And then once that happens, it's very common when one party has gone up on points that their goal for the rest of the match is to fucking stall it out. They want to just wait it out. They've got their points. Now they just need the time to go down so they can end up on top. And as a expression of jiu-jitsu, bullshit. That sucks. That's just not a good expression of jiu-jitsu. It's not a good show or display of jiu-jitsu. And from the spectator's position, it's even worse. It's like, what the fuck is this? It's one of the reasons why people say jiu-jitsu is a non-spectator sport, because in those situations, a lot of these like IBJJF tournaments, it makes for an extremely boring match. And are there exciting matches within these rule sets? Absolutely. 100%. There's fucking insanely exciting matches within these rule sets. But that is because the athletes find a way, or the athletes matchup is such that it creates an extremely exciting match. It's not because of the rule set. I think they have exciting matches in lieu of the rule set. So I think, and just if you look at probably statistically, if you look at all these matches, most of them are going to be fucking boring. And so, is that what we want as a jiu-jitsu community? We want to put on boring matches. We want to compete in boring matches. We want to compete, get 2 points and then just wait it out the whole time. That's fucking bullshit. And also too, probably the biggest thing is like, is that the best display of who has better jiu-jitsu? The guy that can get 2 points and then wait 6 minutes? Does that mean he truly has better jiu-jitsu? He got a lucky foot sweep, or not even a lucky. Maybe he got a good foot sweep and then just fucking avoid it the whole entire time. Is that a good expression of who's the better jiu-jitsu athlete? I don't think so. I think the most conducive rule sets to see who is the best is a sub-only rule set. It allows the guys freedom to just go for it. It allows freedom in every position, because if you go for something and end up in a disadvantageous position, maybe you got to get yourself out, but it's not like you have to get yourself out and you have to recover a 4-point deficit. The combination of those things, it makes it extremely difficult on a timed match to do that. Now, the question is on these sub-only rule sets, what happens in the event of no submission? Some people do no time limit. Now, I don't think that's better for anyone. For the athletes, it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, no time limit. We've seen matches that are literally hours because of no time limit. I think part of it, it's the time limit puts some urgency on the athletes. It's got to happen. Something's got to happen. If it's 8 minutes, which is what my tournament is 8 minutes, I feel like that's a reasonable amount of time, especially if you're going to have multiple matches throughout the day. Sometimes in jiu-jitsu, it takes a few minutes just to develop, for shit to start happening. It takes a little bit to read your opponent, feel it, figure out which setups are working, what moves may work. It takes just time for this to develop. So a 5-minute match is much too quick, in my opinion. And, 10 minutes I think is great too. Longer than that, once we get into the 15 plus range, it starts also becoming like almost no time limit-esque, because it doesn't take that long to get to develop positions. I think 8 minutes is a really good sweet spot. And will I change that eventually? Maybe. I'm open to whatever is the best. And my goal with this is to create the best expression of jiu-jitsu. So I will try my absolute best to do that. So if that means pivoting, changing my rule set, changing the judging criteria, changing whatever, my goal, my current layout is my attempt at it, and I'm fucking flexible, baby. I'm trying to just create the highest expression of jiu-jitsu. So I'm open to critique. One thing I said at the end of my last tournament was like, yo, I'm a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, but I'm a white belt in running jiu-jitsu competitions. So I am open to critiques. I'm open to intelligent conversation about it mostly. I think that is probably how we can come up as a community with what is the best. How do we do this the best? And so once we go, back to in a no sub only rule set, what happens in the event of no submission? So some people do no time limit, so there's got to be a submission eventually. Some people do EBI overtime. I think Eddie Bravo has had an absolutely incredible contribution to the sport. He has done insane things. I mean, just look at him statistically compared to other black belts who have started schools. I mean, he's 1%, 1% of 1% of 1%. His school, he's created his own system, this whole like no-gi sub only. I mean, he's got a lot of stuff that I don't implement in my jiu-jitsu, but he's undoubtedly had an incredible contribution to the sport. And one of his contributions is trying to answer that question of, in a sub-only rule set, what happens in the event of no submission? And it's a really interesting answer to the question, because what he's done is basically structured it similar to a college football overtime. It's like you start on the 20-yard line, you've got 4 downs to get it done, and then the other team has the same thing. So what you're doing is you're starting in an extremely advantageous position. EBI overtime, you either start on the back or in a position called spider web, which means it's like almost arm barred. The guy has your arm and you've got a grip holding your arms together, but the guy's in a very advantageous position to, get the arm bar. And you have innings of that is how he does it. He does 3 innings, and you've got an inning, top of the inning, bottom of the inning, one where you're attacking, one where you're defending. And it's really interesting. It's a really interesting answer to the question of what happens in a sub-only rule set when there's no submission. Now, the primary problem with it is when someone gets absolutely worked during regulation. Just worked. I mean, the guy passes his guard, he mounts him, he takes his back, he has close submissions, the guy is on it, defender is on his heels the whole time, and the one guy is just putting him on him, putting it on him, putting it on him, putting it on, getting all these positions, can't finish him though. Can't finish him. But absolutely dominated the match. Now they go to EBI overtime, and the person who was dominated is put into a position that they would have never earned on their own. Now, sometimes how this plays out is, even though one person dominated the sub-only regulation time without getting a submission, even though one person dominated this, the person who got dominated gets put in a advantageous position and ends up getting the finish. Maybe like how it's structured is whoever gets the finish quicker, or if there are no finishes, even in the EBI overtime, it's whoever has the quickest escapes. So how the time that it takes you to escape is counted and then combined across the 3 innings, and whoever escapes the quickest combined over the 3 innings, they win. Now, that's not how it should be either. If you get dominated in the match, but you just get put into an advantageous position, you happen to, you don't happen to get a sub, but you're great in that position. Another thing that it does is it's a way for athletes to game the rule set. They game the rule set by now for this entire training camp in preparation for this sub-only EBI overtime rule set. All they do is practice back and armbar, back and armbar, back and armbar, back and armbar. That's the primary focus of their entire training camp, because their game plan is to just stall out during the regulation time and then get put in a really advantageous position. And now they've had thousands of reps in this like really advantageous position. This is what they're really good at. This is what they've been preparing for. And potentially even though they got dominated, even though they got really the guy put it on them this whole time, now they're in this good position, and now they'll potentially get the finish from it. Now, that, in my opinion, is just not the highest expression of jiu-jitsu competition. Again, I don't think it's the best show of who has the better jiu-jitsu. If one guy gets dominated and then he gets put in a position that he never earned and happens to get a finish, that doesn't mean he's got better jiu-jitsu. I mean, the point of jiu-jitsu competition is to see who has the better jiu-jitsu. So my goal with my rule set is a sub-only rule set and judge's decision at the end. Now, there's a few different companies that do this. WNO is one of them. I've actually modeled my judging criteria off of the WNO. I think they've got a really solid judging criteria. Mine's slightly different, but it's, I mean, probably mostly very similar. I think they're doing a very good job of it. Now, one thing that they do is partially through the match, they announce who the judges are favoring. So if it's a 10-minute match I think they actually do it a couple times throughout. So I'm pretty sure it's actually a couple times throughout. So at, whatever it is, maybe 3 minutes and 7 minutes, they say who the judges are favoring. Now, I don't really like this because it's a great thing to do so you don't get pissed off athletes who are like, well, I should have won it, because the fucking, it's announced who the judges are favoring. So if they hear it's being favored before the match is over, they'd have a chance to fucking make that shit up. So it's a great answer to deal with annoying people who bitch and complain. But it also, I mean, what this does is it's sort of like getting up 2 points and wanting to stall out in the rest of a points rule set. It's like the guy who's up on the judge's decision, now all he has to do is really just stay out of danger the whole rest of the time. He stays out of danger. He, does a couple good attempts and, mostly just avoids everything, and he'll probably get the judge's decision. Again, it's a way that athletes, it's probably not intentional. I mean, it's obviously not intentional. Or I would think it's not intentional for the organizers, but it's a way that the athletes game the rule set. And I don't think there should be, I mean, the attempt at creating the best rule set should be a rule set that there is no gaming, So they have a great judging criteria, and I think overall they set it up pretty nice, but that's one of the potential problems with it, at least in my opinion. Fight to win. Here's another competition that is a sub-only rule set, and they do judge's decision at the end. This is, again, this is sub-only in my opinion, is the best. And also too, I think the super fight is interesting too, because a super fight is I actually need to just think about this more. Like what is the best? Because again, if I'm trying to create the best expression of jiu-jitsu competition, I've thought about this before. Some of these, like today, I think I'll have potentially 6 matches till gold. Now, I've worked very hard on my cardio. I have realized a long time ago that your cardio is an absolute weapon. And someone with insanely good cardio can beat someone with less skilled jiu-jitsu. So in these tournaments like today, where I'm going to have potentially 6 matches, once you get to, even 3rd, 4th, 5th, especially 6, by that time, whose cardio is superior is a massive factor in who's going to win. So is that necessarily the best expression of whose jiu-jitsu is better? I mean, if you're a fucking Ironman or a triathlete, those type of people are, I mean, if you've really dedicated to having your cardio as a serious weapon, now that might carry you more than your jiu-jitsu skill. In a single match, like super fight scenario, that's not the case. You can fucking empty the tank, and even if you have insanely good cardio, great. I mean, every athlete should have really good cardio for one match. It's one fucking match. So, that I think, and I have to go back, I have to think about this more, because I'm kind of leaning towards a single match might be the best expression of whose jiu-jitsu is better. Now, the only thing to that is that it's fucking impressive when you go out and, beat multiple people in a row and you're able to win a bracket. I mean, maybe cardio should just be a required trait of a good jiu-jitsu athlete. So, this guy has better cardio. We'll work on your fucking cardio. Maybe that's the case. So I'd have to think about that more. But right now, how mine are structured, it's both. I've got brackets and super fights. And that was actually a last-minute switch to the BSFC one, but I'm super glad that's how it ended up working out, because I'm going to have super fights be a part of every single tournament I do now, because I think it's interesting. And I, again, haven't answered that question in my own head of like, what is the better show of whose jiu-jitsu is better? Is it someone who can win an entire bracket and win 5-6 matches in a single day? Or is it someone, at least the better tell between two people, could potentially be, just a single match. But again, I'd have to just really think about that more. It's an interesting question. So, and then the fight to win rule set. The problem with their judging criteria, in my humble opinion, again, I think Seth is doing dope shit for jiu-jitsu and just the community in general. I think with fight to win, it's an incredible contribution to the sport. I think fight to win is badass. I've applied to a couple. Unfortunately, I've never been able to get a match, but I've attended many of them. My friends have competed in many of them. I absolutely love fight to win. I think it's fucking sick, especially the walkout music, the single match at a time. I really like that aspect of it. And I think it's Seth has done a lot of really, really cool shit for the sport. So I, hope he continues to do that. But my one critique with the rule set is that they put, for judges' decision, they put a lot of emphasis on submission attempts. Now, if that's the case and you're competing and you get on this, straight ankle from 50-50, which, the guy's got to be, there's got to be a massive skill difference to finish a straight ankle from 50-50 in most cases. It's not an effective submission, but maybe you're on one deep and you're just fucking trying for it. The judges are right there. I'm like, really trying to sell it to the judges that you're like about to submit this guy, or you're really trying, or this is a close submission attempt, when it's not the case. The guy's in zero danger, and there's a few different positions where that can be the case, where you can really try to sell a submission to the judges because submission attempts are heavily looked at, and if maybe the match is pretty back and forth, but you had that 150-50, that straight ankle, and you'd really tried to, maybe the judges give you the decision, or athletes in their head will think that, because if they get close on a submission, even if it's not there, maybe they'll grimace and they'll, really put it on, trying to sell the judges on some fucking bullshit submission. So my answer to that with my judging criteria is, this. It is aggression. There's 3 judging criteria. Number 1, aggression. Number 2, dangerous submission attacks. Number 3, positional control. So each one of those have a little bit of a breakdown for what I'm looking for. Number 1, aggression. It's the guy who's moving forward and attacking. You can pull guard. I'm not opposed to pulling guard. It's part of jiu-jitsu as a sport. In my tournament, I actually incentivize takedowns monetarily, though. So I offer bonuses for submission of the night and for takedown of the night. So if the takedown of the night is a $250 bonus, that's what it's set up right now. Hopefully I'll be able to raise these bonuses in the future, but it's $250 bonus for takedown of the night, regardless if you win the match. You hit a fucking suplex, you hit something sick, it ends up being takedown of the night, that's $250. You would get submitted later in that match. Dude, you hit takedown of the night, you get $250. That's your sign-up fee plus some cash in your pocket. I mean, that's I'm incentivizing it monetarily, but as far as the rule set and the judging criteria, I explain it for the judges. Guard pulling is not looked upon negatively as long as the athlete is attacking. So that's number 1, aggression. Number 2, dangerous submission attacks. The submission attack has to result in either a hyperextension or a serious reaction from the opponent. It cannot just be, you putting it on and your opponent is just stone face. If it's not a good submission, and this is actually how I lay it out in the judging criteria, don't let athletes sell you on bullshit submission attacks. It has to, and all the judges are high-level black belts, really intelligent jiu-jitsu minds. I like these guys a lot. This is why I've picked them. They were the judges that I picked for the first one, that will also be for BSFC2, and hopefully everyone in the foreseeable future are my boys. Eric Platt, extremely smart jiu-jitsu mind, just really, really good. The guy he's about 40 years old, I think, and one of the only people I mean, we haven't rolled in a long time, but one of the only people that would just absolutely sub me multiple times in a single roll. And, you know, he's at least one of the only people at that age that would sub me multiple times. I mean, just put it on me. And it was never in an explosive way. That's not his game at all. His game is very, you know, static move. It's just extremely technical. And he's got a really smart jiu-jitsu mind. And so he has been one of the judges. I really enjoy he's done breakdowns actually of matches and stuff, and just an extremely smart jiu-jitsu mind. I really, really like him. Number 2 is Jonathan Van Buren, owner of Van Buren Jiu-Jitsu, also just extremely smart jiu-jitsu mind. You know, I think he probably competes at 145, 150, but he gets on top of you and he feels like a fucking 220er. I mean, just everything he does is extremely technical. He's one of those guys that's always looking to better his game. He's looking for advice from other people. He's another guy with just an extremely smart jiu-jitsu mind. And then Adrian Nez is my third judge. And Adrian, again, extremely smart jiu-jitsu mind. I'm not looking for necessarily the best athletes, although all three of these guys are absolute killers on the mat. What I am looking for is a really smart jiu-jitsu mind. And, you know, again, Nez, extremely smart jiu-jitsu mind. With the leg locks, just an absolute killer. He may be the best leg locker in Arizona. He's so good. Extremely, extremely good with the leg locks. And just in general, just also very understands like the philosophy of a lot of positions. He understands the philosophy of jiu-jitsu in general. And so, yeah, those are my three judges, and I'd love to rock with them for every match in the future. I forget how I got on that little bit of a tangent, but so dangerous submission attacks, that's number 2. And number 3 is positional control. So typical scoring positions is, you know, mount, back, takedowns, knee on belly. All of these, they're looked at as one of the 3 criteria for the judges. Now, there is no hierarchy between these 3 criteria: aggression, submission attacks, dangerous submission attacks, and positional control. No criteria. You have to win 2 out of 3 in the judges' minds to get the nod. So if you really have a dangerous submission attack, you almost sub the guy. I mean, he about goes to sleep, and then, you know, pulls himself out of it. You know, you got that. Maybe you did that a couple times, maybe like 2-3 times in a match. You got really close on some submission attacks, but the other, maybe they were, you know, from side control, buggy chokes, or, you know, whatever. The other guy was the aggressor. He was the one that was putting it on you. And he got in some bad positions a couple times, but he was the aggressor the whole match. And he positionally dominated. You know, he took your back, he mounted you, passed your guard, he did all this. The person who had the dangerous submission attacks would lose in that scenario because they lost 2 out of 3 of the judging criteria. So my attempt with this is to create a rule set that cannot be gamed. Your game plan should be go out there and fucking submit your opponent. Try your absolute best in every way that jiu-jitsu is effective. That should be your game plan, and that should be how you game the rule set. That's my attempt with this. Now, is it the perfect answer for jiu-jitsu competition? I'm not sure. It's my best go at it as far as like what I can think of. I mean, I think it's best in as far as I can think. I mean, that seems solid to me. Now, will I change that? You know, probably. That's probably most likely. I'll evolve as, you know, I talk to more people and we can come up together with, as a community, as a jiu-jitsu community, what is the best expression of jiu-jitsu? We'll do that. So, yeah. Well, that has been my little rant on this stuff. I'm having fun doing that, but at the same time, it is 1:20 right now. And let me see. I was originally planning to get to the Westworld by 3. I actually probably should get there by 2 now, and I got some laundry in the washer that needs to be transferred to the dryer. That's the kit I'm going to rock today. So, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I probably will start posting these solo pods. I'm having fun doing it, and I think it'll just, again, help me. First off, it'll be more content. I would like to, you know, be something that if you're interested in what's going on, I want to put out regular content for you. You know, it's like with some people that I follow regularly, if we can almost develop this bond or this trust that like, yo, on this fucking day, you're going to be posting some shit. And like, if I enjoy it, like, Tim Dillon is one of them. He posts once a week on the YouTube. I think he's got a Patreon that's paid for, but I don't fucking pay for that shit. But maybe I would. He's a cool guy. I really enjoy him. But, I really enjoy the weekly regularity of it. It's something that I watch religiously. And this motherfucker, like, just didn't post for 3 weeks. And I was pissed. So I'm going to try my best to, put out as much content as I can. It'll help me practice on everything that I'm trying to do, on the editing side of it, on everything. It'll help me become a better podcaster. It'll help me do everything, and hopefully it'll give good content for you guys. I think this has been actually a pretty good explanation of some of my goals with my competition, and I will continue to talk about that. Hopefully I can get some guys on who disagree with me on certain points, and I'd love to get to the basis of this and see, not necessarily who's right, but what is right, because that's what I'm trying to figure out with this. What is the best expression of jiu-jitsu? What's the best expression of competition? And, I guess last point about that is that right now how I'm doing it is I'm trying to create the highest level of jiu-jitsu competition. I understand that for beginners, for kids, for all of this, maybe the best is to do it across, when there's 40 matches going on at a time and all of this. Maybe it's the best. I'm not sure. I've thought about like what would be, fucking kicking my own camera. I've thought about what would be, how a sub-only rule set could work on like a larger scale. And that's something I'll continue to think about, see if I can answer that question in my own head. But again, I am just out here trying my best, and I hope you guys are as well. I'm super excited about my podcast. I'm super excited about podcasting more in the future. Maybe I'll do 2 separate little series. I'll do solo pods, episodes of that, and then I'll do fucking, with my peeps. And I'd love to have a lot of you motherfuckers on. I've got a lot of friends that we've talked about it. I'd love to have you on. And thank you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the No Credentials Podcast. Os.